Alright, so let's start putting an actual good base color down for this character or creature or whatever you want to call it. So I've got a picture here of the crab that I'm going to base the color off of. And I think a good starting point would be just there's like some pinks in here you can see, like a very light pink color. So I'm going to flop back over to ZBrush here and grab like a light pink and on color spray, and we're just going to lightly, you can randomize the pressure if you'd like, but overall just lightly kind of spray this pinkish color onto our geometry. Let's just get the whole head covered. And I'm not just going to do a fill because I don't want it to be just like a solid color. I do want that randomization that we're getting from the spray with color spray. So once we have kind of a good overall pink tone to our creature's head, then we can go on to looking at, let's look at some of the other colors that we've got. So we've got some yellow, but let's start with maybe a little bit of this purple color here. So we're definitely going to be having this purple color. Um, there's quite a bit of it on top. I might lighten this up just for now. Don't want to. I don't always like to start so harsh. Kind of like to work my way up, just like you do with the sculpting. You start a little bit light and kind of just work your way up with everything. You end up with the higher geometry. You start same with the color. I kind of like to start with a very light version. Let's see, we got a little bit, yeah, a little bit on the sides as well. Very light version of the color, and then just as you continue to work, you continue to build it up, and you start getting more and more color. That really starts to bring it together. He does have a bit of it here on the front of his nose too, and even inside I mean, it kind of looks like this purple can be all over, because we're gonna add quite a bit of like the speckles and stuff once we get to the next, like these little actual speckles. We'll use some masks to put that in there. This is just a very basic um, spray of the overall color here. Let's do a little bit around the mouth just to add a little bit more variation. And let's see, I think I actually want to grab red and just add a tiny little bit because I'm getting a little bit more of a pink feeling in certain areas. And I'm doing this just very lightly with the brush, applying very little pressure so that if I do a hard pressure, I'm going to get something like that. And I'm trying to just get a little bit added in there. The other thing I didn't mention, but you are going to want to make sure that you have hit X for symmetry when you're doing this. Could probably add a little bit of pink to these. I'm actually kind of thinking I might want to make these red, like actually a saturated red at some point, because I think that'll kind of add to its intimidation factor. I don't think, excuse me, I really like this color, but I don't really think it looks very intimidating. So maybe adding just like a little bit of a red on some of the spikes and stuff might be pretty cool. So again, I'm just very lightly painting in kind of, I thought over some of these crevices a little bit of that pinkish color could look good. Um, Probably let's lower our draw size here, zoom in, And let's just do a little bit over these bumpies here. That looks good. And we'll just continue. We could probably bring this up a little bit in draw size. And let's see here. I'm just going to do a little bit over these actual spike things here too. So now let's just zoom out a little bit, and that's starting to look pretty cool. Probably start to add a little bit more of the purple on the top of the head, and that's just like a darker purple. It's like almost gray kind of. It's probably a little more purple than that. It almost looks kind of black. So let's just try to get that to look a little more purple. I'm actually going to go back a little before I added that dark color, that black. It just looks a little, it looked a little too black. Yeah, that looks better. Let's just flop back and forth, although it kind of does look a little grayer. So, you know, you can kind of just color it in and play with it as you, and you can undo or color over it if you don't think it looks right. I like to do a lot of um, kind of just uh, like zigzags, little circles, like little figure eights with the brush, the Wacom. You can actually come in here and let's lower the straw size. Oh, that's making it bigger. Let's lower the straw size a bit, and we could probably paint some of that purple in here in the. Now we're actually going to do some of this stuff with masking in the next video, so we don't need to get too um, be too accurate or get too caught up with where, you know, the darks and lights are going. But I just can, you can start adding a little bit of it in there. Oh, let's zoom back in there. Solo this so I can see what I'm doing. And that looks pretty cool. Now he's a little bit more white on the front, and I'm going to actually want to do that and keep this kind of front part white. So let's do some white just coming up like this under him, because that'll kind of bleed into this area right here once we start coloring that. And also, like I said, the more variation you add. So I'm actually going to put a little bit of white on top of what we did, just to, I like to kind of keep the variation going as I color. So that is looking pretty cool as an initial base. What we can do next is start adding some of the other colors that we're seeing there. We've got like a kind of yellow color, and that's definitely going to be on the eyes here and around the eyes. We've got quite a bit of it. Probably hide the eyes so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. I think I'm gonna maybe keep it off of the nostrils and just do the eyes. So I'm gonna undo that one. I do think it'll look pretty cool to have it on the spikes like that. Alright, let's do solo that. That's looking pretty cool already. So the other thing that we can do then is what we did before is just lower our draw size a little bit and kind of start painting in this stuff. I think there's a lot of areas on the crab where the yellow is following these kind of dotted areas. So we'll follow those. And as we get out, just as we did when we made the bumps, we can keep increasing the draw size just a little bit as we go, by 1 or 2 each time. So it kind of follows the size of those bumps. And don't worry about making it too accurate because, like I said before, the masks, we're going to start really honing in on the lights and darks and the crevices and the things like that that'll really you can highlight just the bumps, highlight just the cracks, highlight just the caverns and stuff like that. So I'll undo that one. Let's see. He does have a little bit of yellow around the edges of his mouth. Let's add a little bit there, there, and there. Maybe a little bit coming up here. And yeah, I'm definitely going to want to put some of the yellow here. So I think for now, I'm going to leave the red that I'm kind of thinking about adding. I think I'm going to leave that out because I'm not really sure exactly where I want it and all that kind of thing. And I don't want to do too much at this point. This is just a base color. So let's zoom out. Let's take a look at it. It's looking pretty cool. I'm going to do a little bit of a lighter color in here again. I think this might have gotten a little bit too colored down here. So I just kind of want to even that out a little bit. Let's maybe do the pink again. That's looking better. And yeah, so that is just getting a base coat going with just some very simple color spray stroke on your standard brush. So now that we've done that, we're gonna go in and start using some masking to really start making this the head of our character here look really cool.